Hey, what is up you guys? I'm back. It's me, May-wee. My name is Emmerich and welcome. If you're new to the channel, this is Movies and a Mug, the little series where I sit down every Monday and talk about a terrible film whilst putting my makeup on. Last week we talked about what is in my mind probably one of the most frustrating and boring movies that we've reviewed to date, The Kissing Booth. Oh my god, does that movie come with some baggage and a fair amount of, social commentary about the role it plays and the messaging it sends to women, but it was really just 40 minutes of me clowning on the writers of that film for doing such a terrible job. So if you're in the mood for a good hate watch, you can find that video in the Movies in a Mug playlist. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my CHER, do I have a movie for you today. And when I say movie, I really do mean a horrible piece of titty garbage. I would rather watch The Room 18 times back to back to back to back to back than watch this movie more than once. And obviously I had to watch it like 4 times to make this fucking video. So today we are going to be watching the 2016 Russian propaganda movie, Children vs. Wizards. So a little peek behind the curtain, a little bit about the man and the myth that is me. I actually have a master's degree in security studies. I'm not just breathtakingly gorgeous, I also have actual knowledge about what I'm going to be talking about today, because I am, believe it or not a film critic, but I am an actual analyst. And now when people ask me what I've done with my degree, instead of just telling them that I've hung it on a wall, I can tell them that I've made a YouTube video. I feel good about myself. So, Children vs. Wizards was funded and produced by the Ministry of Culture of the Russian Federation in conjunction with the Sergei Rednevsky Fund, which apparently is a charity, so just keep that in mind. And in case you hadn't guessed from everything that I've said so far, this movie is just blatant propaganda. With that in mind, I don't usually do this, but I'm gonna issue a trigger warning right away. If you're easily triggered by pretty much anything, this is not the video for you. I have so many amazing videos in the Movies in a Mug playlist that you can go watch. This might not be one of them. We all good? Okay, let's kick it. So Children vs. Wizards starts with some live action footage of Russian soldiers running some military exercises. And let me tell you right off the bat, this is some of the worst advertising for, a military force that I've ever seen. Usually military propaganda is like, we want you to be brave. We want you to be strong. It's trying to be inspiring. This is just like low budget people doing press ups in a field somewhere. So an aircraft lands on the military base and a commander goes out to meet another guy. So let's, for the ease of explaining this video, call the guy who flew in Blue Beret and the guy who met him Commander. So Blue Beret tells Commander that he's going to need some of his men because evil is stirring and the wizards have returned. We then cut to an army barracks where the commander enters and starts telling a story to 3 recruits that he dubs the Magister's Conspiracy. And he lets these young recruits know that 15 years ago, there was a plot, an evil plot to take over Russia using magic. We then decide to leave live action world and cut into the realm of animation with what I would probably argue as the worst animation in any movie I've ever seen, ever. It is fucking terrifying. It is so bad. Oh my god.
Численность отряда.
Где же вы были?
Чтоб ты сдохла, защита русская!
Worry not, I will come back to the animation at several points during this movie. Let's just put a pin in it for now, and I'll circle back round to it, because we have so much more to unpack. So we are told that the plot to overthrow Russia started with a man named Leonard who once attended Moscow State University but developed an interest in studying magic. And so because he started studying magic, he decided to write a theorem about the absence of God, because this movie asserts throughout that, like, you're not allowed to study magic and believe in God in any way, shape, or form. And that's just like a known fact.
It is known.
Speaking of which, complete sidebar, complete tangent, nothing to do with the movie. We are experiencing a really bad storm in the UK right now. And I was talking to this guy and I was like, oh, make sure that you've got bread, you know, because of the storm. And he was like, what the fuck? What do you mean make sure I got bread? I was like, you know, like there's gonna be a storm. So make sure you go to the shop and buy bread. And he was like, why would I need to go buy bread? I was like, well because there's a storm. You need bread because there's a storm. He just found it really, really weird. And then I spoke to my mum and I was like, why do I assume that we need bread because there's a storm? And she was like, well, you do need bread because there's a storm. And I was like, I know, but why? She couldn't explain it either, but we both decided that we needed bread. We are also told that Leonard studied and shared this theory at the Occult Science Academy in Shetlandia. For the moment, I'm not going to tell you where that is because I think it's more fun that way. We then cut to a Russian military general named Eropkim Timofey Petrovich, who, for the sake of this video, I'm just going to call Timothy. And he is the head of the Suvorov Military Academia. I am nailing these pronunciations. Can I just say, it might be wrong, but like, it sounds good to me. And I guess this is the guy who is responsible for dealing with the wizards. And Timothy meets with a gentleman named Sebastian. He's like the head of the department that studies totalitarian sects and also occult groups, which are both known to be like threats to Russia. Sebastian then asks Timothy if he's aware of the Mage Academy. Timothy says that he's not, but then Sebastian tells him that they haven't spread very far into Russia proper or into mainland Russia, and that they primarily operate outside of Russia's sphere of influence. But that they used to operate within the Anarabi, which, if you're unfamiliar, was Heinrich Himmler's think tank that operated in 1940s Germany. I've realized very suddenly that I can't withhold where Shetlandia is, because then I can't make this point. So Shetlandia is Scotland. And why this group from 1940s Germany is openly operating in the middle of a castle in Scotland in 2016. You know, they never really say, but it is. So let's just move on. Shit, of all the places in the UK though, that's where I put my money. Don't come for me, Scotland. You know it's true. So Sebastian explains that a year ago, 5 Russian orphans went to study at the academy to become mages. And that these orphans are being used as like guinea pigs by the mages in order to develop a methodology for the extraction of the Russian soul, which is the only thing currently known to counter magic. And that's primarily because, like, Russians are like really good or something. It's because they have that primo soul, that filet mignon of spiritual je ne sais quoi. And I have quite a few Russian friends. You know, they're all pretty dope. So I guess it's something I can kind of get on board with. And Timmy Boy is tasked with finding these orphans, making sure that the wizards are not able to extract or conquer the Russian soul, and in doing so, putting an end to their evil plot. And they decide that the best way to do this, the best way to achieve this feat, is to send in a child soldier. Why the soldier specifically has to be a child, we don't know. They really said Russian souls are the only things pure enough to take down evil, but child soldiers? Yes, please. We then cut to Leonard. Remember earlier I mentioned that this whole thing was started by a guy named Leonard who went to Moscow State University but then wanted to become a wizard? Yeah, we cut to him. No, I do not like this man. And it's not even because like, yeah, he's supposed to be a villain or whatever. It's just the way he's animated. He's animated like a fucking uncanny valley animatronic. Like he walks like someone is controlling each one of his limbs separately, and he just doesn't know how to move any of them. It is so unsettling. So Leonard is addressing the wizard school, and he lets them know that the prophecy is coming true and that the chosen one is about to ascend. And then, you know, some really poorly CGI wizards start flying around the place and a dragon breathes fire. It's all very exciting. But Leonard can't stay and talk to them for too long because he has places to be, and that place would specifically be Russia, because he has to go there and brainwash children. It never really explains why, but he's going to Russia to brainwash children. Okay? Sweaty? Get on board. But all of this is framed like it's through a projection. Like Sebastian and Timothy are watching it on like a screen, so I guess they're already like aware of Leonard's plan? Question mark? In the next scene, Sebastian just drops into conversation that Leonard is already in Moscow and already talking to children, and that one of the children that he's talking to is Timothy's granddaughter. I guess he just didn't feel like stopping there or like, you know, telling her not to go to school that day. He was just like, no. Since I know an evil wizard is coming, I specifically want him to talk to the granddaughter of this high-ranking military general and then inform him of it whilst it's happening. Like, that's just the logical chain of events. Timothy's just like, oh, he is? Oh, nah, that's a shame. Which, given that this evil wizard cult is aiming to take over Russia, seems like an underreaction. We then cut back to Leonard, who is going into a school, you know, in order to warp the minds of the young children. And he's just like allowed right in. And the teacher's like, oh my God, there's a wizard here to like, you know, show us these amazing things that he can do because wizards are great. So I'm taking from this that everybody knows about them. They are not a secret. And in fact, people really like them. None of this makes sense. If you were the writer of this movie, can you please get in contact with me? Because I am so confused. Like, no judgment. I promise I'll be nice to you. I just want to talk, okay? I just want to talk. So Leonard does some magic for the children. And then this one girl in the class called Nadia pipes up and tells Leonard that only God can do miracles. And in response to this, Leonard's like, oh, a clever one, aren't you? We should find some place to talk in private, just the two of us.
Molly. You in danger, girl.
But back at the military academy, the generals decide that they are going to send a student named Tristan to complete the mission. But they also inform us that Tristan has a sworn friend called Peter. So they have to go together because, you know, they're real close like that.
Why are you gay?
What? You didn't think I was actually going to do my brows on camera, did you? That's stupid. And then we're introduced to our hero, to the savior of this story, Tristan, who looks like this. So Tristan and his aforementioned best friend Peter are both taken to an airfield where they meet with their guide for the mission, a colonel named Telgin. They then board a plane in order to get them out of Russia, and then for some reason there's just like a shot of them cuddling, which...
You are gay.
They're not able to fly on this plane all the way to Scotland, so instead they just stop in Serbia. All of the boys then go on a trek through a mountain, and the music starts to do this really annoying thing where it like gets all quiet, then gets all loud, and then gets all quiet, and then gets all loud, and you have absolutely no idea why it's doing any of this, but it is, and I hate it. They then enter some caves, And Telgen mentions that they have something stored there, and they find these weird green, like, helicopter type things, but they're not really actually helicopters. They're like little green flying mopeds. And then the movie just decides to curve all the way to the left, because all of a sudden we have a flashback sequence into like Telgen's past, and we see Serbian troops like attacking nuns and like beating women and killing priests. And the Russians are there, I guess, to like liberate the village or something. It's never really actually explained what's going on, but then a different nun tells them that they were attacked by Albanians and that they'd been waiting for so long for the Russians to come and save them, which then led me to believe that they're talking about the Kosovo War. But as far as I'm aware, there was no like direct Russian military intervention in the Kosovo War. Like there was some Russian forces alongside the NATO peacekeepers, and Russia did have some diplomatic kind of situations going on over there, but like as far as I'm aware, there was no direct Russian intervention. So I'm really not sure what they're trying to tell us, other than like, if Russia is involved in any war ever, they won't hurt nuns. Girl, I am putting this master's degree to some good use today. Oh, and don't come and try and tell me that I'm reading too much into this, because in literally the next scene, Telgen tells them that all of the former Soviet allied countries, like all the USSR countries, lost their faith in God, and that's why they're all vulnerable to wizards. So I'm not reading too much into it. This is literally what the movie is telling us. We then cut back to the real world, and we have some more military training. But you remember how I said that earlier, the military training just looked like 3 guys and some grass? Yeah, well, this one also just looks like that, but now they're throwing knives. And it doesn't further the plot in any way. They just throw knives. So back in animation land, the boys all get into their little helicopter things, and for some reason they fly to Greece. They just wanted a little vacay, a little trip to Mykonos, just to, you know, Lindsay Lohan's beach house, just to say, hey, bitch. So after their shenanigans in Greece, which I'm choosing to completely skip over because honestly it adds nothing to the story, they finally make their way to Scotland to the wizarding school. And instead of like, you know, trying to be stealth about sneaking into the school, you know, to extract the orphans and save Russia or whatever, Tristan decides that he's just gonna throw himself through a glass ceiling.
So, hope I'm not too late. Help me, please.
And like just lands on the floor in front of the professors of this wizarding school. Okay, I mean, it's not how I would do it, but you know, I'm not a child soldier, you are, so I guess I'll defer to your wisdom on this one. And all the professors at the school just kind of look at him and are like, all right, yeah, sure, why not? And now we're introduced to some of the professors at this Scottish wizarding school. We have Professor McNagina and Professor Snaires. Couldn't be. Anyway, so after falling through the ceiling, Tristan and Peter are in with the wizards and they start attending wizarding class. And the first class they have is alchemy. And they're just, you know, casually discussing how to make the Philosopher's Stone. Again, I can't really place why, but just seems really familiar. We also find out that Nadia, that guy's granddaughter from earlier in the film, is like also here for some reason, somehow. Okay. Now it's time for my favorite part of the film. So sit down, shut the fuck up, and listen. So Tristan decides to go off and like do something, I don't know, like investigate the school, you know, spy stuff or whatever. And Nadia go to a lesson. So the lesson is taught by Professor Ramona Ali Rahmama, and she is a fucking legend. She is an icon, a star, and she is the moment.
Профессор Рамона Аль-Рахамма любила давать уроки соблазнения. Она любовалась собой во время лекций.
Now, Professor Ali gives lessons to the girls of the academy in the art of seduction. And to be honest, I think she's supposed to represent like the Western sin of promiscuousness, but in actuality, she's kind of fabulous.
Коварство, обольщение, соблазн, обман.
Oh, and also, this is where I'm going to touch on how hideous this fucking CGI is. In her class is this girl.
Правильно.
Кукла Барби.
I don't like it here. Nope. I'm not one to judge, but this girl's face is a fucking brick. Next to her, Professor Ramona Ali Rahmama looks like fucking Naomi Campbell, you know what I'm saying? She looks like if Donald Trump fucked the Michelin Man and then shat out Mr. Blobby. Nasty. Okay, so whilst all this sets, let me tell you a bit more about Ramona. So Ramona tells us that the most important thing in life is praise, exaltation, and worship. And she tells you that you need to conquer men by casting the spells of the whores of Babylon. These Babylonian whores were the proto-wizards and the founders of the art of magic. And that in order to be like them, female sorceresses must take everything a man has to offer and pay him no regard. You have to use your cunning, allure, and temptation to your advantage. Yes, Miss Ali, yes. I am sold. I want to go to this lesson. Give it to me now. Oh, and in case you can't tell, this look will actually be inspired by Ramona, but I'm not a blonde. Even in drag, I'm a brunette, so, you know, a brunette Ramona. You'll see it in the end. You'll see it. You'll see it. But then we're interrupted by this bitch Nadia, who I don't even know how she got here. I don't know why she's here, but she's interrupting the lesson that I was enjoying. And she's like, no, 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 no. I only ever want to be with one man, and I want to be faithful to him forever, and I want him to love me, blah, 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 blah. Honestly, bitch, stay your ass at home. Like, why the fuck did you come here? Why are you ruining everyone else's good time? Boo! Boo! Ramona is over here selling the fucking fantasy, and you're standing there acting like you want to be in a kitchen making borscht. No, bitch. Go home. Get out. Okay, I'm seeing her. She's coming together. She's getting there. She's getting there. Meanwhile, Peter and Ivan run into one of the Russian kids that they were actually sent to find. And this child explains that anyone who still has their Russian protection active, you know, that thing that wizards can't break or whatever, are being held in the dungeons. And this student also very forcefully lets us know that the headmaster of the school really likes bonsai trees. Like, it comes out of nowhere. It's just like, oh, and the headmaster likes bonsai trees, just FYI. So, okay, girl, we get it. I'm sure that'll come back in the plot in like 5 minutes. Tristan then leaves, and then Peter and Nadia go for flying lessons with Professor McNagaina. And Professor McNagaina tells them that in order to fly, they must give up their soul, because the soul, I guess, is heavy and like weighs them down or whatever. And that in order to give up their soul, the only thing they have to do is like chat shit about Russia. So the professor is like, okay, Nadia, come and chat shit about Russia. Let's get to it. Start chatting some shit. And she's just like, no, I can't do it. I can't chat shit about the place that I'm from. I can't chat shit about the place that I actively left earlier in this movie. And her reasoning for not being able to chat shit about Russia is, and I quote, because Russia saved all of Europe and the entire world from fascism. And somehow the irony of her saying that whilst in the UK is like completely like not even, no, head empty, like ear to ear. Both Nadia and Peter are then apprehended and taken to a cell. Meanwhile, Evan goes to the headmaster and takes one of his bonsai trees and then starts trying to blackmail him with the bonsai tree. And then he drops the bonsai tree, and then inside the bonsai tree is a Fabergé egg. And then the headmaster explains that this Fabergé egg secretly started World War I. I fucking hate it here. So Ivan leverages this egg in order to get his friends out of the dungeon, but then the headmaster casts a spell on him. Oh, no, sorry, not that spell. No, not that spell either. Different spell.
Petrificus totalis.
Ah, okay, there we go. That's the spell. Sorry, I just got a little confused there for a second. Just, you know, so many spells. He tries to cast the same spell on Nadia, but she's like protected by her Russian virtue or whatever. And then I guess by like thinking of Russia, Tristan becomes protected again and like the spell wears off. Meanwhile, Russian forces start to like descend into the school, I guess to like fight them. But then that just begs the question of why did you need these children to come in here if you were just intending to fight them with like guns and stuff? But now it is time for the final summoning, you know, that thing that was mentioned like one time all the way at the beginning of the movie, which obviously means that it's time for the wizards to attempt to take over the final bastion of Christendom in the world, you know, Russia. But just as they're about to enact their final nondescript evil plan, Telgin shows up in a helicopter that he got from somewhere and just blows the roof off the school. But in all the chaos, Telgin can't find Ivan and his friends, who then use the power of prayer to send a light signal to Telgin, who then extracts them, and they leave the scene, having rescued one, maybe two of the Russians that they came there to rescue. And I guess not really completing their mission, because if those Russians didn't have the Russian protection anymore, then that just proves that the wizards have found a way to counteract the Russian protection. Therefore, why are we here? Telgin then shoots all of the professors with a machine gun, and then like several Russian submarines show up, and I think it's implied that NATO was working with the wizards. That's never really fleshed out. It just kind of like is and then isn't. I don't really know. And then the movie just ends. That's it. That's the end of the movie. Okay, so I'm gonna put on my lashes, do some final touches, and I'll be right back with some final thoughts. Okay, but completely unrelated. If Putin met me, do you think he would put it in? Okay, so what did I think of this movie? Well, if I'm honest, it was an absolute garbage fire. Obviously, my favorite part was Ms. Ramona Ali. Oh, she was stunning. She was everything. She wasn't exactly portrayed in the nicest light. And obviously that CGI was homophobic to Ms. Ali. But she was really a shining star in what otherwise was an absolutely terrible movie. And to be quite honest with you guys, I think that if this movie is consumed in, you know, the way it was intended to be, which is by children, I think this could be really dangerous. And as I mentioned earlier on in this video, this kind of messaging would really not feel too far out of place in 1945. Like, it's really not great. Obviously, I dropped some very subtle hints throughout this video that, this is a Harry Potter knockoff. Yes, it is. Ms. Rowling herself is inspiring the girls once again. But this film honestly did come about as like a response to the perceived evils of Harry Potter. You obviously had Professor McNagaina, you know, you had the Scottish Wizard School. I'm pretty sure that's where the similarities end, but apparently there's a book that this movie is based on, which is wild to me. The fact that someone wrote this plot and this was the movie adaptation, that is cuckoo cuckoo. Like, that is but wild. But I kind of think out of all the movies we've reviewed so far, the messaging in this one is the most dangerous and the most insidious, especially right now with all of the stuff going on with Ukraine. But let's not take it, you know, let's not take it to that place. You know, I don't want to get too serious and turn off my core audience. But in all honesty, this movie is an absolute dumpster fire. The CGI is terrible, the plot is nonsensical, none of the actions of any of the characters make sense, and to be honest, hun, it's just all around terrible. So, do I recommend you watch it? Of course I do. If for no other reason than, you know, to see me, Professor Ali. Okay guys, that is it from me. I hope you like this video and I hope you like this look. If you do, please make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And make sure to give me some of your suggestions for future movies that I should review in the comments down below. People have been messaging me them. Make no mistake, I've been getting people sliding into those DMs. But girl, leave it in the goddamn comments. Okay? Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay safe. And until next time, kisses from England. Bye, guys. Sucking on my titties like you wanted me, calling me all the time like Blondie. Check out my Chrissy behind, it's fine all of the time. What else is in the teachers of peaches? Like sex on the beaches. Yeah, what?